Welcome to ARCS Foundation Honolulu's chapter's first Meet the Scholar conversation. We have panelists, longtime ARCS member Patty Lee, who is in Utah at the moment, Nikki Lee, who sponsors an ARCS Scholar Award in Earth Sciences and is joining us from California. And we have ARCS Scholar and University of Hawaii doctoral candidate Tristan McKenzie and her advisor, UH geochemist and coastal hydrology expert, Dr. Henrietta Dulai. Welcome to all of you. I'm Cheryl Ernst. I'm co-president of the ARCS Foundation Honolulu chapter. ARCS stands for Achievement Rewards for College Scientists. Honolulu is one of 15 chapters across the country working to advance science in America through support for the brightest graduate students in STEM disciplines. Since 1974, the Honolulu chapter has provided more than $2 million in Scholar Award grants to promising UH scholars. This money comes from a mix of endowment funds, chapter fundraising, and generous gifts from individual donors like Nikki Lee. ARCS members are vibrant, inquisitive women who enjoy getting together for social and educational events. The favorite event is our annual Scholar Presentation Symposium, when we get to meet our ARCS scholars and learn about their work. In an era of social distancing, this virtual conversation brings one of our scholars together with the donor who made her award possible, thanks to an enthusiastic catalyst known as Patty Lee. Patty, you joined ARCS Foundation while you were on faculty at the School of Ocean and Earth Science and Technology. What drew you to geology and to ARCS Foundation?
Well, probably a good part of it was the fact that I spent most of my childhood in the backseat of a Ford, driving across America from New York to California and looking out the window on the left-hand side. And boy, you can really see a difference between Ohio and Kansas and Colorado and California. So that probably was the seed that started it. My mother's job when I was little was to throw out the rocks that I had collected. So there that goes. Then when I went to Stevens College, I took a course in geology, and it was amazing to me how everything fit together. So all I have to say is that would have been the catalyst that started everything.
You suffered the unbelievable pain of losing a child. It seems fitting that the son of a geologist found his expression in clay, turning wonderful pots. Tell us a little bit more about Toby Lee.
Well, Toby was very smart and not very wise. He was very funny. He was very handsome. He had a horrible laugh that we all laugh at every time we think about Toby's laugh. And he loved everybody. So I think those are the best things you can say about our Tobes. He literally loved everybody. So it was a great pleasure to be around him.
It's no wonder then that in 2016, a group of your friends honored Toby Lee's memory by funding the first Toby Lee Scholar Award in Geology and Geophysics. Since then, the award has been funded by Patty's daughter, Nikki. Nikki, it's a pleasure to meet you and thank you in person. Tell us a little bit more about yourself and why you support ARCS.
Great, thank you so much for having me. So for me, my mom's passion around ARCS and her love of teaching, I should say, has always stuck with us. Since we were little kids, as my mom said, we would drive across the country and she would point out rocks. And oftentimes we would be tested on geology as we traveled across the country. And so that always stuck with me. And then as I grew older, it's been interesting to take on some of the traits that my parents taught us, which one of them is that education is one of the most important things you can pass on. So I've been very fortunate in my career. I graduated from the University of Hawaii, moved to the mainland, had a very successful career in human resources, started my own firm and sold that to Ernst & Young, where I'm now a partner at EY. And so through the fruit of my efforts, I wanted to repay that to someone else and to pass that along. And, you know, with my brother's passing, there isn't a better way for me to share my success with somebody else and help make the world a better place. And ARCS is definitely one of those organizations where people like Trista continue to make the world a better place.
Thanks so much, Nikki. Nikki's annual contribution for the Toby Lee Scholar Award has supported students doing work of critical importance. This includes studies of ocean sediments to understand sea level change, use of computer modeling to sustainably manage island groundwater, and simulating aspects of the San Andreas fault earthquake cycle to improve seismic hazard estimates. The 2020 Toby Lee ARCS Scholar in Earth Sciences went to Tristan McKenzie. Trista hails from earthquake country to the north in Seattle, but her focus is on groundwater pollution. Before we meet her, I just would like to point out that ARCS Foundation members determine the disciplines in which ARCS Scholar Awards are made with consideration for donor preference, but it is our partner universities who select grant recipients. With that in mind, Dr. Dulai, what made Trista such a strong candidate for this award?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having us here. It's great to meet you all, and thank you. Really appreciate on behalf of the department that our students have this opportunity to receive this award. All right, so to really highlight Trista's greatness, we go back many years because Trista started with their studies in the Department of Earth Sciences already as an undergraduate, and that's when we started collaborating. That was shortly after Fukushima, and there was this eager student, and there was a need to do more monitoring, and Trista jumped on the opportunity, and as an undergraduate already produced 2 peer-reviewed papers and got this great national award for a virtual presentation on that work. So that was a no-brainer that then I offered Trista to continue on with the graduate program. And that trajectory just continued upward in achieving many great things. Among others, that Trista was funded on a Sea grant, but really went on and received other awards to expand on the original goals of the project. That really shows greatness as a graduate student who goes out and receives and gains funding for their own dreams and make them happen already that early in their career. So yes, as I said, this trajectory continues. Trista is continuing coming up with great ideas and papers, peer-reviewed papers that are highly valued in our field.
That's wonderful to hear. Trista, what brought you to the University of Hawaii and what sparked your interest in your field?
Well, first off, I just want to say thank you for having me, and I'm quite honored to receive this award. So bringing me to the University of Hawaii, I actually transferred here as an undergrad from the University of Victoria in Canada. I was previously pursuing a degree in chemistry, but I wanted the opportunity to spend more time outdoors, and so I said, well, you know, geochemistry, that sounds fun. So I switched majors, and as Dr. Delay just mentioned, we worked together when I was an undergrad. During undergrad, I found that I was really interested in really pursuing more of these processes of, you know, ways that humans interact with the environment and maybe can alter the chemistry, and, you know, try and find ways that these, that we intersect and in ways that we can help one another from research. So that was really my sparking the interest in the field. And of course, now I'm working more in coastal hydrology as opposed to environmental radioactivity. But there's certainly a lot of overlap.
Tell us a little bit more about your research that you're doing for your doctoral degree. How do you go about it, and what are you hoping to find?
Sure. So my research now currently primarily focuses on submarine groundwater discharge, and this refers to groundwater that discharges along the coastline. And I really am investigating its role as a vector for contamination, primarily derived from wastewater, but also other anthropogenic sources. To achieve this, I use a combination of geochemical tracers, including both radio and stable isotopes, as well as pharmaceuticals and other micropollutants, industrial chemicals, that kind of stuff. I also do a little bit of machine learning. So some of my current projects involve using pharmaceuticals as tracers for wastewater pollution on Oahu, and assessing the potential impact that sea level rise may have in changing or worsening coastal water quality. I also have another project on the Big Island where I'm using machine learning to learn about the drivers and potential effects of sea level rise on submarine groundwater discharge. For all of my work, in addition to advancing science, I hope to provide valuable information to local communities as well as the state.
Patty and Nikki, do you have any questions you'd like to ask Trista?
I don't even know where to start. It sounds so interesting. You had mentioned about using pharmaceuticals in your research. Can you expand on that a little bit more? Because when I think of pharmaceuticals, I think about prescription pills. So I was just kind of curious if you could explain that a little further.
Yeah, absolutely. So when we ingest pharmaceuticals, or this includes over-the-counter prescription or non-prescription drugs, caffeine as well, our body doesn't use 100% of what we ingest, and so a fair bit of it actually comes out. And so these pharmaceuticals are excellent tracers for wastewater in the environment. They're in very trace quantities. So it's, the environmental concern aspect is still up for debate, but excellent tracers for wastewater.
That's really interesting. And then from the research and your results that you find, when you talk about sharing it with the communities, how do you go about sharing that? Is it through articles that you write, or it seems like a lot of countries would be interested in this type of research?
Sure. So, it's a combination of, so there's the scientific community, which is primarily disseminated via journal articles and conferences. But there's also the local community. A lot of people want to know what's going on in their backyard. And so, that's generally achieved, through multiple routes. We work with the Department of Health frequently and other agencies that are interested in this, but also just talking to, people when we're doing field work and saying, and this is, we're happy to talk more, please email if you want to know the results.
Great. Wonderful. Thank you.
Okay, I have a question. Are you sampling along the coastal areas on Oahu? Or are you flying over and getting visual images of it? How are you sampling?
So I'm sampling along the coastline. I go out with a bunch of gear and hopefully a couple people to help me out, and we just collect the water. Mm-hmm.
Okay, the length and the depth from the surface to the bottom, or and how far offshore?
Typically just in walking distance.
Walking
right
distance,
along the coast.
Along the beach, okay. And then Big Island, you say that you're doing what did you call it? A computer?
Machine learning.
What did you call it?
Machine learning.
Yeah, machine learning. Yes. Okay. How does that work?
So it's maybe I'll describe the actual project. We have a buoy that has been deployed for many years in a location, and it takes hourly measurements. And so we have a really nice hourly time series over 4 years. And so they're kind of a newer area of research, particularly as it applies to geosciences, is taking machine learning. This is, if you think about, I think the easy way to describe it, but it's maybe not the perfect parallel, is artificial intelligence. And so, this is how things are marketed to us now. So there's this whole line and field of programming and computer science now that really kind of looks at these processes or uses these algorithms, and we can apply it also to other fields.
I got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you. When do you think you're going to defend?
Spring.
Spring, yeah. All right. Okay.
I get the.
How has the ARCS award helped in your pursuit of your doctorate and your research goals?
You know, it's this award has not only provided monetary support for my research, but it's also the acknowledgement of the work that I've completed. That I guess it shows that there's recognition for my work outside of my immediate sphere of influence, and that's very meaningful. And I hope it can keep going forward. Yeah.
You have indicated that your goal is an academic career doing research of scientific and community relevance, which of course you're already doing. Nikki and Patty, how does it feel to be contributing to this dream?
It feels wonderful. I mean, I think it's fabulous to really be able to pay it forward and help someone else out. And like I mentioned earlier, I think the work that Tristan's doing and other recipients of the awards, it just, you're having an impact, you know, on our environment, in our world. And it's nice to know that we're making a difference. So it's just wonderful to support women like Trista and others. And they do some amazing work. So it does feel good.
Okay, and I wrote a little thing out here about it, and it makes me feel that it's constructive seeing how helpful this is for all these scholars. I know how difficult it is financially for them to get their act together and get out of school. And so that part is very good. And I also consider it to be part of my civic responsibility as a citizen of this country. That's kind of how I see this also.
Great. Does anybody have any other questions or comments? If not, I'd just like to close by, again, thanking our panelists for participating in this discussion. And I want to remind viewers that you too can support scholars like Trista, whether it is through sponsorship of a named ARCS Scholar Award, such as Nikki has done, contribution to ARCS Foundation to support Honolulu Chapter Awards, or membership in the ARCS Foundation chapter. Information is available at our website, honolulu.arcsfoundation.org, and donations can be made via PayPal at tinyurl.com/ARCS HNL donate, and that will be on your screen. So I want to say mahalo and aloha.
Aloha.
Thank you, aloha.
Thank you.
Thank you.